That vote ACC stand part of the schedules. I call David Bennett.
Thank you, Mr Chair, and it's a pleasure to take this call on vote ACC, and I know other members of this Transport and Industrial Relations Committee will also take a call on this as well, and very fine members they are as well, with a special interest in ACC, so they may be able to delve in a little bit more detail and go through some of the further issues. But essentially, one of the big things that we need to look at is the indication that there's further room for ACC levy cuts. And that's something that the budget 2014 indicated that the ACC Corporation, Accident Compensation Corporation, is on track to provide further levy cuts for New Zealanders of around $480 million in 2015-16. Now that is because of the great results that ACC has done, but it's also a result of the Minister and the Government sticking to the funding package that could have been thrown away 3 or 4 years ago if we had listened to what the Green and Labour parties had said, which was to have a non-fully funded ACC corporation and one which was paid by taxpayers' funding. And that's what the Greens and Labour promoted in the last term and so of this government. And imagine if that had been the case. Not only would you not be able to deliver levy reductions, but you would have put New Zealand in a situation where it would be constantly funding ACC through its tax funding. And that would have led to higher taxes on New Zealanders if this government had followed the approach taken by the opposition parties. The Labour Party, to be fair, were actually quite reasonable about that for a certain period of time, but then they gave in to the Greens, as we normally see, and decided that they would follow the Green Party policy of not seeking full funding, which was a disappointment for the Labour Party, but really shows how they're not willing to be constructive and take into account the New Zealand industry going forward. Did you have something to say there, Ms King? Yeah, okay. Well, I mentioned it'll be another turnaround from that member because I'm sure that she'll be coming in here and saying that, well, we were all in favour of fully funding and all those things, which is not the case because they gave in to the Green Party. Just remember that. Just remember your press release, which you gave in to the Green Party. So the member's got to go to technicalities because she can't handle the pressure of it. But that's the nature of that member, okay? Okay. When we look at it, that $480 million, that's a lot of money, and that's money going to New Zealanders' pockets from good economic management of this country and by this government. And if we remember what we came into when we came into government, and see the checklist of things that this government had to deal with, look at where the country was in recession before the rest of the world in New Zealand, when the Labour Party was in control. It was not because of the drought. We've had 2 droughts since then, and we haven't had a recession, have we, to that nature? So that member would have no idea there. They were in recession because of poor economic management. That's the reality of it. Food prices, they were up 10.9% in the last year under Labour, 1.5% under this government. House prices went up 96% over the 9 years of Labour, 28% under this government. Electricity prices went up 72% under Labour, 22%. 72% on Labour. That's what electricity prices went up. The current account deficit, this is the Greens' mantra of economic management. They keep on referring to the current account deficit, was 7.9%, 7.9%, 3.4% under this government. And maybe the most telling of those signs was the number of New Zealanders leaving to go to Australia. We, in this government, turned around those economic indicators. And by turning around those economic indicators, organisations like ACC were able to deliver these levy cuts going forward. And that is the nature of good economic management. It's making the right decisions at the right time and building a strong economy so that we can go forward and deliver those results. Now, that $480 million, the decision on how that will be attributed is going through a process at the moment, but you can anticipate that a bulk of those will be in motor vehicle levies. and along with possibly a levy reduction for employers and the self-employed.
I call Simon O'Connor.
Mr. Oh, don't be so disappointed across the other side.